Hello and welcome to Skywalks Gaming, and I'm here to make an important announcement about the future of this channel. So let's get going. As of the posting of this video, I will no longer be producing any new content on this channel. Not live streaming, not regular videos, nothing. In addition to that, I will also be marking all of the videos that are on this channel currently as private. No videos will be present on this channel going forward except for this video that you're watching right now, and this video is the only video that will remain up and online. You'll also notice that there is no video content in this video, and that is intentional. It is blank because it needs to be blank, and that has to do with the reason why I am doing this in the first place. So let's talk about that reason really quickly. The reason why there's no video content and why I am making this change to this channel is because of COPPA, C-O-P-P-A, Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. But it's not specifically because of the COPPA Act, it's because of the FTC's involvement in YouTube. And because of the FTC's involvement in YouTube and the way that they've chosen to become involved and the way that YouTube has chosen to implement some of its really backwards processes, I have decided it is no longer feasible for me to continue with this channel due to the risks involved with the FTC. So, if you're interested, I'm not going to stop streaming though. That is a bottom line. I will continue streaming. I will just not be doing it here on this platform. So if you're interested in where I will be doing this, please look in the description below. You will find my Twitch account, where I will be live streaming exclusively. I will be doing the same content that I was doing on YouTube, but I will now be doing it on Twitch. So please join me over on Twitch. Click on the description, go down into it. You'll find my Twitch account right in there. You'll need to go over there. You will need a login and password in order to watch. So you'll need to create one if you don't already have it. If you do have one, you can just log right in and subscribe or follow my channel. And then any new content will you'll be notified of whenever I go online. I will not be doing this on YouTube any longer, and there is a good reason for that. So now let's get started with the reasons why. If you're not really interested in those reasons, you can click off now. It's about 2.5 minutes into this video, and that's about as far as you need to go if you're not interested. There's plenty of videos on YouTube where you can actually read up more on this, but I'm going to give you my take on it. So let's just pretend this is a podcast, and you can listen to my reasons behind why I'm doing this for this channel. So let's get going. The primary reason why this is happening is because of the new for kids, not for kids setting. And that is a really weak way of handling COPPA in the first place. Let me just say it is one of the worst ways that I've ever seen a business implement a COPPA protection mechanism. Because in COPPA's legislation, the protection mechanism is two ways. One is parental consent, verifiable parental consent, or the other one is joining a safe harbor program. Both of those ways will protect you from COPPA. So as long as you do one of the two of those things, you can protect your business or your person from COPPA violations. Now, most channel owners and content creators on YouTube are not businesses. They are persons. They are people. Sometimes they may have incorporated, but the reality is most of them are probably, most of us smaller creators are not. We're just people behind a camera doing YouTube. And maybe it'll work into a business at some point in the future, but right now, the ones who are just starting out is not a business, it is just a personal venture. So, and this leads into, well, what are the fines all about? Okay, well, let's talk about the for kids setting first, and then we'll go into the fines of what happens if you violate COPPA. So, we'll talk about the fines right after this. Now, this the for kids setting and the not for kids setting are the way that the way that Google is going to determine, YouTube is going to determine whether your content is targeted or not targeted for children. And by children, I mean ages 12 and under, and that's COPPA defined children. So, if your content is geared for or designed for 12 and under, then your channel may fall under covered by COPPA, which means may be covered by COPPA, which means that if it is covered by COPPA, then you could be liable for any violations. And that's a whole nebulous thing, because how do you know if you're covered by COPPA or not? And how do you know if you violated or not? And these are all things that, that the FTC could easily stonewall a lot of people into believing that they are now in violation, and you may or may not be. So that is the difficulty with this whole thing. I mean, you don't want to be steamrolled into something that may be in fact untrue if you're just not really if you're not really in violation. So you kind of have to know whether or not you're truly in violation, and you have to actually read the verbiage of the COPPA legislation to fully understand whether or not you are liable. And if you can't read legal verbiage and sort of interpret what it's saying, then you need to hire a lawyer and talk to them about it. I'm not going to hire a lawyer because that's expensive, which is why I'm getting off of YouTube and going over to Twitch. I don't think I need to even do that right now, because I'm going to hide all my content. The FTC is not going to start looking at content until January 1st, 2020, but I want all my content off of YouTube long before that, so that they can't say, well, your content was there, here it is now, you're violating, blah, blah. No, if there's no content, you're not in violation. They can't find content, no content to find, nothing to see. That's why this video is blank. Now, let's talk about why this video is blank for a second before I get into the fines. So this video is blank because YouTube is going to implement a scanning function that will allow the FTC, probably, and YouTube to scan through videos to determine if they are in violation of COPPA. Or, how do I say it? If they are not in violation of COPPA specifically, but if they are targeting 12 and under, which could be in violation of COPPA. So that's what I meant to say. So if your video is targeting 12 and under, or has content that could potentially be appealing to 12 and under, and that's really the bigger question, does it appeal to 12 and under, then you could easily be considered covered by COPPA and have fines levied against you. Now, how much are these fines? Okay, let's talk about that. The fines are $42,530 per fine. $42,530 per violation. Now, the question is, what is a violation? That's nebulous. I don't know. I mean, the COPPA law is pretty explicit about violations, but still, I mean, it's not totally explicit. It could still be that the FTC can make some subjective judgments about, well, that's a violation, that's a violation, and go through all these litany of things to determine what's a violation. So you could end up with one violation, or you could end up with 120 of them, and you don't know until until the FTC is coming after you that you have 120 violations. So, and once they've already found you in violation, it doesn't matter whether you've deleted the content later on, you're still in violation, because at the time they found you in violation, then you're still liable to that legal action. So, yeah, it doesn't matter what happens after they find you, quote, guilty. After that point, even if you delete all the stuff that's considered in violation, it's too late for that. Okay, so the fines are really big. And now let's talk about, let's go back to the for kids and not for kids setting and discuss a little more in detail about what these are actually going to do for you as a content creator. The for kids setting, it's been talked about and everybody kind of knows what it is, but basically it's going to demonetize your videos. If you're set for kids, if your content is set for kids, your channel set for kids, or any of your content gets set for kids, basically it's going to be demonetized, so you can't monetize the content. You can't have comments on the video, which basically prevents 12 and under from making any comments. It will likely disable comments on live streams. You might not even be able to live stream. I don't know. I haven't actually tried with the for kids setting turned on, so I don't even know if live streaming is even possible anymore. So I just don't know what's going on there with fully with for kids, but I do know what basically I've been told. Now, the bigger problem with the for kids setting is that it's going to set a flag on your channel, which basically means the FTC can come to your channel and say, well, basically they're going to send a list of any channels that have been set to for kids, which basically means they can go through these right away as low-hanging fruit and say, oh, these channels are all set to for kids, which means now they have to be put under the microscope for potential COPPA violations. So by putting your channel or content as for kids, it throws up a huge red flag to the FTC to say, hey, come look at me. I'm set for kids, so now you need to really put me under the microscope and find out whether or not I've actually violated. So yeah, that's not a good setting. Not for the for kids setting is not a good thing. Definitely not a good thing. It's a big bag of hurt. Okay, so the not for kids setting is basically status quo, which is basically the same as YouTube has always been. You can monetize, you can have comments, you can live stream, you can have live stream comments. There's all these things you can do that are just natural as part of the standard YouTube interface. So as not for kids does this. But keep in mind that the not for kids setting that you can set is just a suggestion. It's not a fact, which means that YouTube will only use it to sort of suggest that your content might not be for kids, but it also means that YouTube will still scan your videos to determine if the content is, in fact, for kids or not for kids, which is, again, the whole reason why this video is blank. It's blank because if it's blank, it can't be scanned for content that could be considered for kids, which is why I was thinking, well, what kind of video could I put in here while I'm doing this voiceover? I thought, well, let's try video gaming stuff. I thought, well, no, because that could be considered for kids. Well, how about like a cartoon or something? Well, no, that could be considered for kids. Well, how about like, and then I just started going through my mind of all the things I could potentially put in this video, and I thought, well, everything could be scanned and considered potentially for kids, so I'm just going to make it black. If I make it a black screen with maybe just some text over in key places, there's just no way that can be considered for kids. There's just no way. No kids are going to sit there and watch black screen. So this video is blank because I want it to be that way. So anyway, that's why it's blank. And so there is a big out for COPPA. There's actually two big outs. I talked to them. First one is Safe Harbor. I won't go into that aspect because Safe Harbor is a complicated thing to set up, even at the best of times. So let's just talk about the other one that is possibly doable even for channel owners, and that is verifiable parental consent. So I don't understand. Google has always claimed that their platform has not allowed 12 and under on the platform, which is the whole reason why that was their whole mantra for many, many years until they were caught with their pants down and the FTC fined them. Well, now that they've been fined, that means that they are in violation of COPPA, which means that they have been targeting to 12 and under, and that means that there are 12 and under on their platform. And well, we know that's true because they own Android, right? And parents have been giving out Android phones to their 12 and unders for a very long time, which means that the Android phones obviously have YouTube on them. And as long as they're logged into a valid account, and they have to be because you can't use an Android phone without being logged into a valid Google account, then you automatically have access to YouTube as a result of having an Android phone in your hand. So, or a tablet, or whatever they happen to give their kid. So there's all of those problems. So that is a big problem. I won't go into that aspect of how insane it is just to lock it down on YouTube, because Android phone in your hand, a big problem. It's a Google product. Yeah. So anyway, this is where it comes down to the problem with this platform. And it's part of the reason why, well, how do I say this? Okay, so COPPA came into existence in the year 2000. Well, it started in 1998, but it came into existence in the year 2000. So it began applying as a law in 2000. YouTube didn't come around until 2006, which means there were 6 years between the time it began, COPPA, and when YouTube came into existence. So by the time YouTube came around, YouTube was already required to be in compliance with COPPA. Now, it was an early version of COPPA because COPPA has been updated since then, but still, it was COPPA at the very base. Part of it was in existence, which means that even YouTube channels at that point in time still would have been covered by this same situation. It's just that from 2006 to 2019, the FTC did nothing. Okay, so, but now they've decided for whatever reason that they're going to start doing something. I don't know whether it's a monetary reason or they're just running out of money. I don't even know. I kind of do know, but I'm not going to say it here. What I am going to say, though, is the out for, let's go back to parental consent. The out for parents is actually parental consent. So as a content creator, if you can get parental consent from a child, then you can continue with your channel, whether or not you're targeting 12 and under. Because if you have a 12 and under's parental consent, then they can be on your channel. You can collect data from them, and there's no problem, right? So because there's no problem, you can continue with as status quo. Now, you will need to continue to get parental consent for any new subscribers who also happen to be 12 and under, but that's a simple thing. All you have to do is every time you start a video, you say, if you're 12 and under and you're watching this video and you are new to my channel, you will need to get parental consent and send that parental consent, and I will need to get a copy of that parental consent. And here's the instructions on how to do this, and just put an instruction link in the bottom of the description, how to get parental consent, verifiable parental consent, right? And that way you automatically cover yourself and you automatically have your parental consent stuff set up. Now, that means you have to get parental consent in order for every 12 and under to watch your channel. But as soon as you've got it, you're covered and you're not in violation of COPPA, because that's what parental consent does. It authorizes consent that the child can be, that you can collect data on behalf, or you can collect data from that child because of the parental consent. All right, so that is the out is parental consent, or as I said before, safe harbor. I won't go to safe harbor because it's more complicated. All right, so what I have to say now is basically just that that's the reason why I have decided to pull back on YouTube. It's a huge liability. There's too much risk involved. The monetary fines are too big, and the fact that they're going to cover all of the content going back to 2006. They have to, because that's when COPPA began. If they're gonna start looking at violations now, they have to look at all of it, basically back to whatever the statute of limitations is in that law, which is probably 7 years, but still, that's far enough back that it would cover most YouTube channels. And any active YouTube channels would definitely cover. So there we go. That's the problem. So that's why I am hiding all my content. It's going away before the end of the year, so that when FTC comes in January 1st, no more problems. It won't be there for them to even see. And this video will be here, but it will not have any video content, so it can't be scanned and said, oh, it is for children. It isn't. And so there we go. Now, come visit me over on Twitch. And I will continue to stream over there. I hope to see you over there. If you're still listening to this after 17 minutes and 30 seconds or thereabouts, I appreciate it. And don't subscribe to here if you're listening to this in the future. Come over to Twitch and follow me over there. You don't need to subscribe to this. I'm not asking you to subscribe to this, because I will not be posting any future videos. This is just the ending of this channel, and I wanted to give people the update of the end of this channel. But I mean, you can subscribe to this channel if you want, but you're not going to get any content. What you need to do is head over to Twitch and come visit me over there. Look in the description field and you will find my account, and you can go over there and subscribe over there and watch me do content over there. And I thank you for listening. I thank you for subscribing, and I thank you for just wanting to watch the stuff that I produce. So thank you again, and I will see you in the next stream. Bye.